Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Legacies, episodes 113, titled The Boy Who Still Has a Lot of Good to Do, which premiered Thursday, March 7, 2019 on the CW. I'm recording almost 2 hours after the episode has aired, so huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first. Then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. My other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. Quick shout outs to latest commenters. Again, Jasper Benson K, who commented on my 111 video after I recorded 112, so I couldn't say a shout out beforehand, as well as to new commenter Adam Rodriguez, who commented on 112. Thank you so much for your input. I'm so thrilled to answer questions at all or just get the conversation going, so I can't wait to see what you guys have to say about this episode. So I'll try to do this in 20 minutes. It's definitely a lot. I tried to narrow it down as best as I could, but let's start the clock and let's begin in what happened in this episode. So, episode quote itself, "The boy who still has a lot of good to do," was said by MG to his father. And again, what's with these long titles? I get that they're quotes, but they're really getting long and they're very hard to remember specifically. So, but he does say when he does see his father, so we do get a bit of backstory there. But timeline-wise, this one's a little tricky, but kind of cements things a little further. So in this episode, you do get the full moon. So this is Raphael's first full moon since he's been enrolled in the school, and I believe it's the second one featured in the show because the first one was featured in the pilot episode in 101, and I think this one's the second one. But also this episode marks the end of March break because this is kind of meant to be okay. So pretty much for the timeline wise, everything that happened in the Mubby trip in the last episode, so everyone involved in that arrives at the school, and then they find out that MG, Raphael, and Landon are missing. And then when they find Raphael in the episode at the very beginning, then they go through flashbacks to try to figure out what happened while everyone else was dealing with the mummy, trying to figure out what happened with the three guys and try to figure out where the other two of them are. So at this point, by the end of the episode, we know where everyone's been up to where spring break has happened. So there's that. Again, on the grander scheme of things with episodes, things are a little out of order, but at least in this sense, we know where things tend to be. So there's that. Episode reminder, though, is the fact that this one was directed by Paul Wesley, aka Stefan Salvatore. So that was pretty cool to get. Also, the fact that the feature creature for this episode is strictly in his territory of vampires and werewolves. So it's really going back to the very beginning type for him. So it was very cool for that. Specifically in this episode, they really hone in the fact that the werewolf bite is fatal to vampires. So they really have the whole ritual procedures for the students, how on the night of the full moons, vampires stay in their dorms, werewolves go to their bunkers and chain themselves up to kind of wolf out for the moon and not be a danger to the rest of the students. And we do find out in this episode officially that Hope's blood is the cure to the werewolf bite. So there's that. So the episode breakdown, pretty much for the storyline, the main goal is pretty much finding MG and Landon. And you got two different ways they're trying to do this. So the first way is being through the missing memories, and that is with Hope and Emma trying to interrogate Raphael, who does not remember the last 24 hours that happened, essentially. And then the second way is searching Maryland, which is MG's hometown. And that's with Alaric and Caleb going back to MG's hometown to retrace his steps and try to find him that way. After finding out that that's where they skipped out of town for. So there's that. And the last scene of the episode shows Landon rising from his own ashes and confirming that he is a phoenix. So there is that. So character-wise, which I'll get to in a moment. But character-wise for MG, we find out that his father never knew that he was a vampire, so he'd been mourning the death of his son, while his mother knew that he was a vampire and kept that secret and had an arrangement with Alaric to have MG sent to the school. Now, this specific storyline with the family dynamic that MG has kind of reminds me of what Caroline Forbes went through in season 3 of the Vampire Diaries when her mother was just adjusting to the news that her daughter was a vampire, and then meeting her father and trying and seeing his hatred towards vampires and trying to recondition Caroline to not be what she was. So it kind of, in a sense, was like that with MG, how the mother was trying to keep the secret of him being a vampire a secret and trying to keep him at a distance while keeping the secret from his preacher father, who instantly feels vampire MG as a demon when he tries to reveal who he is. So that's kind of a parallel right there as well. The only difference I would say is the fact that while Caroline was able to be turned into a vampire without anybody knowing, like it wasn't, her death wasn't known to anybody until they found out how she was turned into a vampire, and then people knew. But like in MG's hometown, I guess his death was public. So like his father was there when he died. There was no way you could have hide the fact that he had died, but you could hide the fact that he was brought back as a vampire. So that was the only difference between the two parallel family histories there. So there's that. With Caleb, though, we find him in this episode promising to be there for MG since his family refuses to be so. We also see him confessing to MG about how the way he preaches about being vampire is very different from what he truly believes, and how he believes that they have a big struggle up ahead as vampires, and he's willing to tough it out with MG if he's willing to do so as well. We also, a little fun fact about Caleb is the fact that he has shark slippers. They're very cute, and it was very funny and something you wouldn't expect from Caleb, but it's just so fitting for him as well. But another character thing as well is that Penelope, although we don't see her in this episode, she is mentioned. She is the one that apparently put the cloaking spell on MG, Landon, and Raphael when they left the school to go to Maryland. So there's that. Tidbit-wise, though, there's a bunch of stuff here. So this episode, we find out that everyone knows about Raphael not only hooking up with Lizzie, but also then dumping her. I mean, and also Raphael is now fully aware of the fact that MG has a major crush on Lizzie. I mean, Caleb referred to her as the love of MG's life. So that's a little fun teenage drama there. We also find in this episode Landon confronting Raphael about Hope and forcing Raphael to admit his feelings for her. And Raphael eventually does, and he wonders why Landon wants to hear that. And Landon says he wanted Raphael to admit it because he knows what bottling up feelings would do to Raphael and how toxic things get for him when he does that. So he kind of didn't want to see Raphael in pain, and then coincidentally enough, he is in pain due to his transition at the moment when that happens. So there's that. We also find out that there is a holiday committee for students who happen to stay behind at the school during holidays, and MG seems to be the president of it, or at least some leader of some sort for it. So there's that. Also, another thing is that Josie and Lizzie aren't shown in the episode again, yet they are mentioned. Hope brings them up as a possible option to get Raphael free from his containment, since they mentioned, she was saying, like, let's get the twins to siphon you out of this and get you out type of thing. So there's that. We also see Hope bringing up a spell from her mother's journals about the Crescent Wolves, because as we know, the Crescent Wolves, because of Haley's status as a hybrid, were able to transition at will. And because of that, there was apparently an elixir of sorts that allowed for that type of consciousness as a wolf to be made available to the drinker of the elixir, which is what Hope wanted to bring to Raphael, to have that clarity and allow him to access the actions that his wolf had done when he was kind of in partial transition. Because he apparently was dealing with a rare psychosis to the fact that during he was transitioning as a wolf, but when a huge trauma had hit him, it caused him to revert back as a human, therefore not allowing him to complete the transition that his wolf was supposed to complete. So that's kind of why he was losing time and not remembering everything in the last 24 hours. So I hope I got that right, but that's pretty much the gist of it there. But I will say the most shocking moment of the episode has to be MG being the one who killed Landon. I was under the impression the whole episode that it was Raphael. The way that they were teeing it up seemed that it was going to be Raphael who might have killed Landon. Then you would have got the grief for the fact that he was killed his own brother. But then to have it turn around to be MG, initially MG was just very pissed at Landon because he's the one that pushed him to go confront his family to get answers, and then to find out to deal with this whole follow, and then like MG punched him, and then the whole possible bloodlust got in the way, and then he ended up killing Landon. So it's just like, it was very surprised that it was actually MG instead of Raphael, based off the way that they were teeing it up. And I just kept saying that twice, I'm sorry. But anyways, moving into top 3 favorite moments. I will have to say the episode overall was very well done. I mean, it was very emotional. It had me tearing up on many different occasions. First one definitely being MG's goodbye to his own father before he compelled him to forget that he ever returned as a vampire. So that was just seeing him go through all that, and seeing that rejection on his father's face, it just it was rough to see. Also, another emotional part was Hope and Raphael finding Landon's body and then reacting to that, and then just the emotion there and having them trying to like keep it together while also not. That was something there. That was a very emotional kick there. Another one was Caleb's worries over MG the whole episode, how he's very amped up. I was like, where is he? Where's our boy? Where is he? And then finding out that he was bitten by a werewolf, just how worried he was, the fact that they might not get the cure in time, and then finding out that Raphael was the one who bit him, and then being overprotective of that way, and then trying to reassure MG to keep on fighting, to not give up type of thing. It was just very, very well done in the emotion department there. So there was that. I mean, like, even though you know characters can't die at this point, like this early in the season, let alone in the series, and yet you still have these moments. It's just like you never know. So it's just like it still gets to you. So there's that. Another favorite I liked was the fact that we finally figured out what Landon was. We found out that he is a phoenix. I mean, I suspected that he would have to be a phoenix because after he was killed, and then I figured the only way he would have to come back to life and have it make sense is for his creature history to come into play. And the only creature I knew that came back from the dead was a phoenix. So there's that. And I honestly couldn't believe that Landon would be killed off completely, because then that would just be horrible for Hope to lose someone else that she started to let herself care for. And I just thought that'd be too tragic. So I believe that Landon would have to come back somehow. And the only way for him to do that is if that mystery creature background of his kicked in. And then it only really solidified for me that he was a phoenix when his body suddenly turned to ash. Yet when the flames burned out and the ashes still kept the shape of his body, that's when it confirmed it to me, before Alar kind of said it out loud about like, well, do you know the legend of the Phoenix type of thing? So there's that. So I just like the in-moment confirmation, I guess you could say. Now, another powerful favorite that I had in this episode was Caleb's promise to MG and the whole speech he had in the car between them, and pretty much confessing to him what he truly thinks about being a vampire and how there's going to be big struggles ahead for them. And then like how he makes the promise to him, and the quote being, "Hear this, brother, I'm your family now, me, all right?" And then like MG kind of agrees. In that moment, I kind of got huge Salvatore vibes. I got like a huge Damon and Stefan feel. Like in this sense, you got Caleb being Damon, MG being Stefan, and how Damon is promising Stefan's like, we're in this together, we'll figure this out. Kind of like do or die type of thing. And you got the whole goody two-shoes vibe from MG, and then him potentially being a ripper like Stefan. And then with Caleb, you got the carefree attitude, trying to relish in the vampire ways, or trying to make it kind of like carefree, laissez-faire type of thing, and how like he was trying to do the snatch, eat, erase type of thing. Definitely, but that speech in particular really had me feeling very nostalgic about Damon and Stefan. And then with him going, "Hear this, brother," it kind of had me going back to that immediately. It's like, oh, they're trying to make a new type of brotherhood right between these two. Like they very different yet similar to the one that Landon and Raphael have. So I really appreciate the dynamic that Caleb and MG have, the way it's going to be progressing later on, and the way they kind of set up the parallel. And it's only fitting because Stefan Salvatore himself, Paul Wesley, was directing the episode. So, I mean, come on, right? So there's that. And like always, I always said I'm going to mention Hope and Alaric as a favorite. And this episode in particular for them, I do appreciate that Alaric had the very distinct belief that Hope would do the right thing. And in this aspect, it was her saving MG, despite the fact that he was the reason that Landon was dead. And Caleb had his doubts that she would save MG because he's the one that killed her boyfriend, but Hope said no, she'll do the right thing. And I really appreciate that, because she did saving MG. So there's that. But moving on to top 3 peeved moments, I got 2 of them. First one being the whole interrogating Raphael thing that Hope was going for. I didn't really like the fact that she was prioritizing trying to figure out where Landon's whereabouts were over Raphael's sanity. I mean, Emma was kind of fighting against Hope with the fact that we can't push Raphael, otherwise there's no going back for him. Like, it could be irreparable damage if they try to jump into his psyche or split between his psyche too often. And then Hope was like kept pushing forward. It's like, where's Landon? Try to figure out answers. And I felt really crappy about seeing that because, like, Raphael is also her friend. I mean, like, in the Slug episode, she even declared Raphael as one of her best friends. And to have her truly focus on Landon over him, I mean, I get Landon's her boyfriend and everything, but, like, if she held them both to such a high standard to each other, and yet she's, like, picking one over the other like this, it just seemed like she had no regard of what Raphael's state of mind would have been. Instead of, it's just like more like answers, give them to me type thing. And the only reason I would accept that type of behavior if it was due to Hope's own wolf mindset coming in, because it is the full moon itself. I mean, even though she can transition whenever she wants, at least on the full moon, I would want to see a little bit, like, she's a little bit more aggressive than usual, or she's a little bit more territorial or something like that. So if that's the reason why she was heavily focused on Landon and only Landon, and kind of foregoing what would happen to Raphael, I would understand if the wolf part of her had something to do with it, or at least had an inkling towards it. But if it was just because it was solely just her boyfriend and she was worried about him, and then she was foregoing any friend she had that kind of was in the same, I don't know, like, it just, in the moment of watching it, I just got really irritated. The fact, like, no, it's like, you can't push Raphael, otherwise he's not going to be the same as he is before with his mind, because, like, you're splitting between the wolf part of him and the human part of him, trying to remember what happened between the two. It's just like, it was a very delicate thing. And I do appreciate Emma trying to vouch for Raphael and trying to keep what's best for his state of being at the forefront of her mind, and also trying to keep what's best for Hope's state of being at the forefront of her mind as well, while Hope was just solely focusing on, like, what happened to Landon type of thing. So there's that. Plus, I'm also a little surprised that if the memory issue was something that they had to deal with, I'm surprised that they didn't just use magic directly and just, like, kind of, like, dive into Raphael's head to get to get answers. I mean, like, the vampires could do it easily. I mean, the witches have done it before when trying to retrieve memories. I think, didn't Davina do that at one point, and Bonnie as well? Bonnie did that too. She dived into Luca's head in season 2 to find answers about Elijah. Like, she was able to do that. I'm pretty sure Davina was able to as well, though. Maybe, I don't know, I can't remember. But, like, there had to have been a spell, and I'm pretty sure that would have been a much easier way than trying to work through whether or not Raphael can remember things or not. So it's just like, it was a little peeve of mine as well. It's like, well, we could have used magic. Why didn't you? Instead of, like, dragging out the last 24 hours to try to find him. I mean, granted, it didn't make a difference because he was already dead, but, like, still, right? So there's that. Or why not do a locator spell, right? If you couldn't find Landon, then do a locator spell on MG. Well, I guess the cloaking spell and stuff, but, like, I don't know. I mean, Hope was strong enough to make a cloaking spell that they couldn't find Haley, so it's like, I don't know, I feel like magic could have been used a lot more to do things than just waiting for Raphael to remember what had happened. That was a peeve there, and that was so long, so sorry. But another peeve I had was MG's mom, Veronica. I hated the fact that she would rather protect her husband's beliefs and have MG continue to believe that his father hated him. She even said, your father doesn't want to see you. She would rather him believe that his father doesn't accept him as a vampire and does not want to see you at all, than just telling MG the truth about the fact that your father doesn't know that you're a vampire. He doesn't know that you're back, and explain why he can't know. Because then I figured if, like, she had told him at least, and at least he would know what the consequences could have been if he confronted his father and didn't prepare him right, which he had to deal with the consequences for, in the sense that he went up to his father believing that he knew he was a vampire, and yet he actually didn't know. So it's like he wasn't prepared in any sense. And it's just like, I don't know, I just felt like Veronica's priorities were not in the right place. Like, it felt like she would rather put more harm on MG and have him grow up to believe that his father hated him than to just tell him the truth and the fact that your father doesn't know that you're a vampire. There is a possibility that this will challenge his beliefs to the point that he might not accept it. But then it's like, well, you just have to explain it. You just have to explain what happened to him, or at least compel him long enough. Or that's another thing too. They could have compelled his father long enough to explain the situation, to have him to kind of figure out rationally in the world of the Vampire Diaries how it could be possible, and then ask him, after everything I've explained, everything I've told you, now what do you think? And if he still believes that no, that you're a demon, then okay, then compel him to forget everything. Instead of just like cut and dry your reactions, like, oh, now I can't tell you type of thing. It's just like, I felt like it was a lot more damaging to MG this way. I mean, yes, it leads him to Caleb being his family support system and all, but now I feel like his parents and the way they just treated him in this episode is just very damaging for someone as young as MG. So this, and also gives me the question of, there's a timer, of like, if his father was there to witness his death, it makes me wonder how he was able to have vampire blood in his system to begin with. Like, how was he able to even turn into a vampire if his death was so public as it was, as opposed to how Caroline was turned, where she had already had the blood in her system, and then a vampire had killed her in secret, and then like no one realized it because she was already in the hospital and she had woken up before anyone found out. So just like, yeah, that was just messed up as well right there. So there's that as well. But moving on to what moment will I remember most when I look back on this episode, the whole murder mystery behind where Landon and MG were, the fact of like who killed Landon afterwards as well. So there's that. But random questions very quickly. First one, why do you think the twins weren't featured in this episode? I just find it very odd, considering that they're the headmaster's daughters, that they are absent for a lot of episodes. I mean, I get why, after seeing this episode, why they wouldn't really fit into it, because it mostly would be more conflict that they would add in Lizzie's case, or be a lot more comedic aspects with their snark and stuff, or maybe a little bit more too much compassion. But then there's also the rift between the twins and Raphael at this moment. So I can understand why they weren't featured in this episode. I'm just surprised that they are absent for as many as they have been so far. I'm just saying. We're just wondering if anyone else found that odd. So there's that. Another question is also the fact, do you think that since Landon has been resurrected once, that whatever powers he has as a phoenix would now emerge? Kind of like with the werewolf, how they don't show abilities before they trigger their curse, and then after doing so, you have them having advanced strength, speed, healing, all that lovely stuff. Yet beforehand, they don't. They just have the aggression building up. So that's another thing there. I'm wondering, because when Hope did those magical tests on Landon, he showed nothing. There's nothing supernatural about him. The only thing that showed was the blood test that showed that he had no trace of magic in him, which is odd in itself, because Emma said that everybody, even humans, have a little bit of trace of magic due to far off ancestors and stuff like that. So that's another question there, because then I'm excited to see what a phoenix could do. And then also I'm wondering if that means that a phoenix is immortal like a vampire then, because no matter how many times they die, then does that mean that they will always come back to life? Or is it a certain amount of times? Or I just can't wait to get more into the phoenix myth. Also, it turns out, since it did happen 24 hours, it turns out that it would take him 24 hours to resurrect himself. So that's it there. I did have another question, but like I can't remember it. Just waiting a few moments. Does it come to mind? Oh yeah, another question. Why the hell, of all the days that they could have gone to see MG's family in Maryland, why of all the days did they have to pick the one day that it was a full moon? The one day when they're told to stay on campus, to stay locked up, either in the bunkers or in their dorm, to not have anyone's lives at risk, both MG and Raphael. Why did they think to go on a road trip on the most deadliest night for two of the three victims, or two of the three guys, and it just ended up the third guy was the one that ended up being killed? I don't get that logic. Is it really because like that's when the headmaster was off campus, so you decided to sneak off past, and that's why? It's like, no, you could have waited a day to go. I mean, like, spring break isn't for one day. You had the whole week to go take MG to see his family. Why did it have to be the night of the full moon? I do not understand that logic whatsoever. And just like, ugh. Like, I get it because it brings more drama, but then at the same time, it's like, if you know that there's these dangers, why do more stuff to put you in more danger when you could do so much to prevent that danger? If that makes so much sense. But then I guess you don't have a show. But then, like, at the same time, if I was in this world and I lived at that school, I would have said, like, no, I'm not leaving, and we're not leaving either. A road trip can wait a day to do it, or if anything, don't bring the werewolf with you, or yeah, right? So it's just like, it just makes no sense. But then again, I'm talking about a show about vampire werewolves and a whole bunch of mythical creatures, so of course none of it makes sense. So there's that. Sorry, it's after midnight for me now. So predictions. Moving on to the promo for episode 114, we do get the Miss Mystic Falls pageant back again. We do see Hope struggling and Lizzie trying to help her, or at least get her to confront what her problem is that she's dealing with. And we do see her attending the pageant as well. So based off the synopsis, though, for the episode, well, I'm tongue-tied. As the Salvatore School prepares to host the Miss Mystic Falls pageant, Hope secretly deals with the recent trauma that's causing her magic to go on the fritz. Also, meanwhile, the unexpected arrival of Roman, a boy from Hope's past, causes Landon to be on alert. Elsewhere, MG struggles with the fallout from his recent actions, while Josie's secret desire to win Miss Mystic Falls takes a backseat to Lizzie's plan for the pageant. I'm so excited to see Miss Mystic Falls again. This will be the 4th time that it's featured in the Vampire Diaries universe. First time in 119 of the Vampire Diaries, second time in 407 of the Vampire Diaries, and last time in 809 of the Vampire Diaries. So that'll be great. All of them featured Caroline, so I'm wondering if we might get a little cameo from the former Miss Mystic Falls. So there's that. I'm also excited to see Roman again. I mean, I was rooting for Roman and Hope when he was first introduced in season 5 of the originals, until he was part of the group that kidnapped Haley and kind of betrayed Hope. But I can't wait to see the reason why he's back. Also to figure out, like, what, did he get expelled from the school? Because he was originally a student at the school. So that's a question there. I just can't wait to see what the dynamic is between Roman and Hope, if there's ever going to be some forgiveness or some attempts to gain forgiveness, because technically I don't think they've seen each other in the last 2 years. I don't even know where Roman's been. I think the last time they were in a room together was when Hope had the power of the hollow inside of her, and she really needed it to let out that rage that was inside of her from the magic, and she was torturing Roman. She was kind of gearing up to kill him, but then, like, she was talked out of it and stuff. I can't remember what happened to him afterwards, though. So I'm definitely excited to see Roman again and see how that all plays out. So there's that. Also, the fact that Landon is mentioned in the synopsis kind of gives away to the fact that he wasn't going to die in the previous episode, but then that also makes it a even bigger shock in the fact that he did die, but then lead to the fact that he's not dead for long, if that makes sense. I don't know. But there's that. But otherwise, that's about it, guys. What did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and predictions about what you think will happen next. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I reblog, promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopses, news, all the good stuff all found in one place. Go check that out. I am behind. I hope to get back to that soon. So please be patient with me for that. But WordPress account, link for that is down below. Everything I post online is connected to WordPress. More organized, more detailed, but still a work in progress as well. I got a bunch of stuff I have to update for that one as well. So be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next week to see what they say about the pageant episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel wishing you all a great day, great week wherever you are. And I'm going to go to bed now. So take care. Bye.